If you guys have been following the channel for some time, or even not that long, you will know that if there's one topic that I am an absolute expert in, it's the gang culture. Okay, it's gang warfare. I know I don't look like whatever you might think somebody that knows a lot about gangs might look like. You know, a lot of people think that because I'm some sort of nerd with glasses that I wouldn't know what's really cracking in these streets. But at the end of the day, I'm one of the biggest fans of gangster rap music, biggest fans of drill music. And ever since Chief Keef first burst onto our screens back in 2012, I was obsessed. Okay, people have asked me before, are you obsessed with gangster rappers? Are you obsessed with King Von? Yes, I'm absolutely obsessed with drill music. Ever since Chief Keef popped out with the True Religion, you know what I'm saying, the Ferragamo belt buckle, the gilet, I just remember hearing, I don't like. Oh my God, it changed my, honestly, Chief Keef changed my life. Chief Keef actually changed my life. I was in 2012, I'd have been like, what? How old would I have been in 2012? About 18, 19. You know, I just was obsessed. I was obsessed with Chief Keef. I got so into this Chicago music. I was a young lad in Bognor Regis. And if you don't know Bognor Regis, all right, this is the small town that I hail from. Okay. It is not very gangster. Okay. I'll tell you that much, right? Bognor Regis is the least gangster place that you could possibly hail from. Okay. This is where I'm from. All right. Look at that. Look at that beautiful seafront. All right. That's the Bognor High Street. Okay. I was raised in hell. All right. This is my strip. All right. This is front line. Okay, Front Street for the Bognor Regis killers. All right, look. I come from a place that is the least gangster place you could possibly come from. Now there are apparently a couple of young G's. Okay, a couple of Y. I can't even. I'm not. Look, I don't think I should be saying YN. All right, a couple of YWs. I'm gonna have to say a couple of YWs running the streets of Bognor Regis, man. I did a reaction video a month ago. Somebody actually did the first ever hood vlog in my hometown of Bognor Regis, okay? And I'll keep it real, it is a little bit of a joke. But this is what I grew up around. I ain't grew up around no Southside Chicago gangbanging business, but I became obsessed with this stuff through the music. It has always, to me, been about the music. I'm not a fan of gangs. I'm not a fan of murders. I'm a fan of drill music. I'm a fan of the culture. I'm a fan of the history. Everything Chicago, everything gangster rap. That's what I'm about. But as the years have gone by, I grew up listening to 50 Cent, Jay-Z, and these were serious guys in the streets, all right? Jay-Z, he shot his brother when he was 12. That was one of the first videos that I ever did that went viral, talking about Jay-Z shooting his brother. 50 Cent, they tried to kill 50 Cent. They tried to assassinate 50 Cent, and you know what I'm saying? There was all sorts of rumors that 50 Cent slid. You know what I'm saying? You remember that classic lyric about the guy that shot him? He said he got hit like I got hit, but he ain't effing breathing. All right? So back in the, look, this gangster rap, this murder music, this ain't nothing new. But rappers were always so much more subtle about their crimes and their street activities and anything like that they were involved with. It was always very hush-hush. It was coded language. But ever since Chief Keef popped out in 2012 and ever since then, we learned about these real murders that were going on. We learned about Smoking Tuka. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to Tuka. I don't want to disrespect him, but we learned these names. We hear in these lyrics. We're learning who these ops are. We're learning about Lil Jojo. We're learning about these actual live conflicts that are going on. And shout out to DJ Academics. His War in Chirac series was groundbreaking, you know? I mean, like, DJ Academics still catches a lot of flack for his War in Chirac series, but realistically, this put people on to the Chicago drill culture in a way that nobody else ever did and nobody else ever really could. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing my thing, but look, 11 years ago, all right, this is what was going on. DJ Academics was bringing this to the forefront. He really put this scene on. He really put a lot of gangster rappers that were from Chicago on the map as household names, all right? So at the end of the day, drill music, it is what it is, but fortunately or unfortunately, depends how you look at it, it's become a global phenomenon that has spread all the way around the world. Beyond America, it's in every city in America, but it has gone all over the world. It's global. The drill music culture has infected far more than the United States, okay? So look, if you know my channel, and we're going to get to the recent upload in a minute. This is what we're here to talk about. But there is drill scenes in damn near every city in the world, okay? Like, realistically, damn near even Bognor Regis, you got these little YWs trying to raise hell and be tough, you know? From the Bronx, you got these teenage gangsters terrorizing the streets. Philadelphia, Mr. Disrespectful, YBC Duel. Every city in America, it seems, every city around the world, you got rappers rapping about the real crimes going on in their block. Even in the United Kingdom, we've got Suspect, AGB, Active Gang, allegedly responsible for 2 bodies. He says he got 2 packs like Suge. This guy, he was a fire rapper. He was one of the most talented rappers to ever come out of the UK, but unfortunately, he comes from one of the most treacherous streets known in our country, all right? He had the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on the ropes, all right? He had the Prime Minister of the UK, current Prime Minister of the UK, attending community meetings because people are demanding to stop the violence after alleged bodies that this guy is dropping, okay? And it goes way beyond there, right? Whether you want to talk about Mobile, Alabama with Honeycomb Brazy, you know what I'm saying? This amazing Alabama rapper that comes from one of the most wild stories that Ops killed his grandparents. All right. I'd never seen anything like this. Okay. It's absolutely insane. All right. But even in India, okay, I done a video about the assassination of Sidhu Moosewala, India's Tupac. They were really getting busy in India. Okay. He was making drill music in Punjabi. Okay. This wasn't my most popular video, but this is proof that I'm fascinated by the drill culture. I don't care whether it's Chicago, India, you know what I'm saying? I do not care. I'm interested in the culture. I'm interested in the music. Sweden, right? The Death Patrol versus the Shotters. This was a crazy, crazy beef, all right? The rapper Einar got himself involved in a whole bunch of madness, and it just got absolutely out of control, okay? I do my thing. Young boy, Baton Rouge. There's gangsters, there's killers in every city of the world, and people want to get racial with me sometimes. Why don't you do a video on some white boy killers? Well, there you go. Rich White Crip, the story of Cameron Terrell. This is a young man from a very rich community in Los Angeles that ended up getting involved in a murder that he really, really shouldn't have had no parts of being involved in. So, look, I do not discriminate between country, language, accent, skin color. If you're making music about the real crimes going on in your community, I'm fascinated. 6ix9ine, that was one of the biggest blow-ups that we had. But look, I've released about 2 weeks ago, 11 days ago, my latest video. And this one, in my opinion, was a very, very special video because the amount of comments that I've had of people literally begging me, pleading on their knees, pause. Please do a video about St. Louis. Please do a video about the St. Louis drill scene. And look, I'll keep it real with you guys. I didn't know much about the St. Louis drill scene going into this video. It had been requested to me by fans so much. And I started doing my research into the city of St. Louis, into the music scene of St. Louis, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was actually crazy. Okay, so St. Louis, if you didn't know, is the deadliest city per capita in America. All right, the highest murder rate per person. A lot of people want to say, oh, well, there's so many murders going on in this city and that city, but per person, in proportion to the amount of actual people that are in that city, how many people are likely to lose their lives as a proportion of the population? St. Louis is head and shoulders above the rest. This is the most treacherous, dangerous city, and it's really not being given the love that it deserves on the map. All right, Nelly is the most famous rapper to come out of there. Not a lot of people knew that Nelly a rolling 60. All right, Nelly a real crip out there. Okay, he kept it low key. He kept it very low key because he came up in that 50 Cent era where you're not really supposed to talk about your street affiliations like that. But in the modern era, there's a whole bunch of gangster rappers coming out of St. Louis that I personally have fallen in love with over the course of researching this video. Now, some people were asking me about my process recently, and I had to break it down. I said, look, they said, how do you work? How do you even get to know all of this stuff about the gangs and the violence and the murders? And I said, for me, it starts with the music. I'm not covering a video unless I'm genuinely interested in some musicians coming out of that city or coming out of this beef or whatever it is. I've got to start with the music. So for this video, I immersed myself in St. Louis drill music, right? Yeah, you got Sexy Red, she a big old blood from out there. And I rock with Sexy Red's music. But look, this weren't no Sexy Red. This weren't no Nelly type story, okay? I was trying to listen to the demons. And I found so many musicians that I absolutely love out of St. Louis. I listened to nothing but St. Louis music for a good month straight, which is what I usually do when I go really deep into a topic like this. And I'm just here to tell you today, this is one of the craziest, probably the craziest collection of gang wars that I've ever covered on this channel. Okay, I low-key, look, I'm gonna gas myself up, all right? And a lot of people have been hating on me recently, but I just want to gas myself up. I went in on this video, bro. I went crazy on this video. It's 3 hours and 17 minutes long. It's even longer if you go on Patreon. We got even more madness on the Patreon version, so don't sleep on that. But this video, Murder Capital, Gang War in America's Deadliest City, is a video that I am incredibly proud of. I went super hard. And also for all of the people, listen, all right? The Trap Law Ross's fallen off allegations have circulated, all right? But look, I've been trying something different. I definitely have had some monster hits on both of these channels recently, so I ain't deep in any of that. But I just got to say, people, okay? Shout out to the St. Louis drill scene. This is no disrespect, but it ain't popping like no Chicago scene. I'm trying to bring the motion. I'm trying to bring some energy to the city, all right? This ain't really a story that's on anyone's radar. This ain't no viral story. And look, I'm not scared to pop out and do a video about something that's not popping. I did this video on Darrell Brooks. It's a 3-hour video. I'd wanted to do this video about Darrell Brooks for years. And I low-key knew, look, this ain't even a hip-hop story. He was a failed rapper. There's like a tiny section talking about rap in this video. But I was passionate about this story. I was passionate about the case. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go in for 3 hours. I'm going to break this down, all right? So look, it ain't about the numbers with me, man. I said, once I started listening to the music in the St. Louis scene, I said, I'm in love with this music scene. I want to do a full-blown documentary. I experimented with short videos for a little period of time. I did a few short videos. I cranked out a few short videos. Some of them were good. Some of them weren't so good, man. Some of those, I'll keep it real. Some of the videos that I've dropped over the last few months aren't necessarily my favorites, but I was really trying to challenge myself and push myself into different lanes. But I feel like that experience just really taught me and just confirmed to me that like my lane is the deep dive lane. My lane is the 3-hour gang war deep dive. Maybe even not a gang war, man. I did the video about Eminem and Kim. I did the video about Kim and Kanye. You know, damn near just shy of 2 hours. It's just shy of 3 hours on Eminem and Kim. So look, I'm just on a crazy deep dive rampage, and that's what people are trying to see from me. And I've definitely learned from doing an experiment. If you don't know, I did a 2-month experiment dropping weekly videos. It was not the best experiment. Several of the videos, 3 of the videos that I dropped got taken down, and there was a whole bunch of madness behind the scenes. I can't really get into it in this video, maybe another day. But basically, I did an experiment. I said, let me drop a video every single week and just challenge myself because I was bored of the long videos, to be honest with you. I'll keep it real with you. This Young Thug video, low-key bored me to death. The Central C video, I was very fascinated in Central C's story, but these stories, I was kind of like, bro, I spent a whole month listening to Centr. I think I spent 2 months listening to nothing but Young Thug, and I was burnt out. I said, let me slow my roll down. Let me just drop a bunch of short videos on little topics that I'm interested in. And it was a super interesting experiment, man. You're probably not going to see such a diverse range of uploads from me. You know, people want to talk about, all you talk about is gangs. Well, look, I did a video exposing Virgil Abloh, all right, for plagiarism in his art. And I know a lot of people weren't feeling that video, but at the end of the day, bro, that's just my opinion. I'm here to give controversial takes. I'm not here to toe the line. But anyway, I'm waffling now. This video, Murder Capital, I'm so proud of this video. It's at 500,000 views in 11 days. It ain't about the views for me, but I am very grateful that so many people tapped in to a relatively unknown scene, right, admittedly, to rappers that aren't necessarily in the mainstream culture and conversation, but 500,000 people in less than 2 weeks tapped in and locked in. And you know what I'm saying? I ain't going to say too much, but we got hell of a watch time, man. And this is a video that I can tell was just captivating people, keeping people interested for hours on end. And I'm so grateful for everybody that tapped in and watched it. So I basically just want to give a little teaser of this video. If you didn't check it out, man, I'm just going to watch the intro to this video, give you a little flavor of what ended up happening in it. And then I just want to respond to some of the comments on the video just to get a vibe, because I haven't done this in a while. But I just want to get a little vibe of what you guys were thinking about this video, what the audience reaction was. And, you know, any feedback, any lessons learned. I'm super proud of this video, and I feel like this is actually one of the best videos I've done in months, to be honest with you. I think this is the best video I've done since the Big U video, which obviously was major in many different ways, man. So let's just have a little look, man. Let's have a little recap of this intro, because if you didn't see this video, if you didn't catch this, if you didn't know what this is about, I swear down, this is one of the craziest gang stories you will ever see, and I could not believe what I saw. Henderson. When it comes to the most dangerous cities for rappers in America, the spotlight often falls on more well-known places like Chicago, a city that not only pioneered the drill music genre, but has also recorded the highest number of total homicides in the country for over a decade now. Chicago is far away from the top when it comes to cities with the highest per capita homicide rates, and in reality, there's a place so deadly that it makes Southside Chicago look like Disneyland. There's one city that's consistently ranked #1 for the past 10 years or more, and that city is St. Louis. So dangerous. I just want you to deep how crazy this is, right? For all of the gangbanging in Chicago, for all of the madness that we talk about in Chicago, how crazy and how wild it is. It ain't anywhere near St. Louis, okay? You think Chicago's deadly? Yeah, they have a lot of murders, but they also got a lot of people, all right? Look how, like, even when we made this video asset, I was like, yeah, can we make something where we kind of show the murder rates? And I want to compare Chicago, maybe a couple other famous cities. I actually couldn't believe how crazy this looked on paper. When we put this on screen in the right proportions, just look how wildly deadly St. Louis actually is compared to these cities. Look how wild, look how much more murders there are per person.
It's so deadly that it makes Southside Chicago look like Disneyland. There's one city that's consistently ranked #1.
Look at that, it's OP. Look at how OP, bruh, St. Louis is just something different, man. Look, just miles ahead. Miles and miles and miles ahead of all these other places. Absolutely, look how much, we've got, whoop, had to do a whole swipe across to let you know how wild this city is.
Years ago, it was the deadliest city in the entire world outside of the cartel-controlled war zones of Latin America. This has sparked ongoing debate online about just how dangerous life in this city really is. And a big reason for the problem is the readily available firearms that circulate as a result of Missouri's notoriously lax gun laws. Here in the state of Missouri, they have permitless carry laws, meaning that if you're 19 years or older, you don't need a permit to openly carry a gun. This means that in St. Louis, every block and hood has an army of gangsters openly brandishing military-grade firearms and ready to use them at a moment's notice.
Now, shout out to my editors, man, because look, realistically, we've been struggling with censorship on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube, because at the end of the day, I completely understand. Advertisers don't want to put advertisements on content that is absolutely out of control, with hella bodies and hella bad stuff that you shouldn't be showing. So we've had to go the extra mile to censor the guns and censor the joints and the spliffs and the blunts and all of that stuff. I completely understand why we got to do that. So it is what it is. You can't do this stuff on TV, and YouTube's YouTube bigger than TV right now. But I tell you what, my editors had sore fingers after this one, because there are so many straps. And some people did get onto me. I did see some comments sort of saying like, oh, it's not really the open carry. It's not about that. Sort of saying like, you don't understand because you're from the UK. They don't have guns there. Open carry is not the reason that St. Louis is so violent. Now, I'm not saying that just because they have open carry, the city is so violent, because there are other states that have that. But what I'm trying to say is I feel like the culture there, the violent culture there, the way that there's so many fragmented gangs. And as I get into it in this video, I kind of explain like the reason St. Louis is so wild. It's kind of like how Chicago, how they knocked down the project buildings where a lot of the big gangs kind of had headquarters. And that basically just, shattered the gang infrastructure. It meant that there's all these different gang members had to go and live in different hoods, different projects. And basically it just created all these tiny little splintered off neighborhood sets that then had all these very small overlapping wars with each other. St. Louis kind of had the same thing, but even worse, where they basically kind of had like gangs from all over the country. They got Bloods, they got Crips, they got GDs. You know what I'm saying? They got gangs that wear an orange. Like, I don't know if they legitimately got like real Hoover gangs, but like they basically have got just like all different kinds of gangs from all over the country. And then they got all these fragmented hood. There's been a bunch of gentrification where they've knocked down and paved over certain project buildings. And again, it's just that it's the same conundrum that Chicago faces with all of their complicated gang structure, like times 10. And then throw in the fact that everybody is allowed guns out in the open, completely calm. It is like just a powder keg. It's crazy.
Gangsters openly brandishing military-grade firearms and ready to use them at a moment's notice, with an incredibly fragmented gang landscape made up of Blood, Crip, and GD gangs that have come from all over America, and the complicated gang ties, meaning dozens of tiny neighborhood cliques are always at war in a constant battle royale of overlapping and constantly shifting gang ties. Now,
so what's interesting about this point, and a lot of people, it's so funny, I wish I saved the comment, but when I announced that I was doing a St. Louis drill documentary, I mentioned it on No Jumper like a few weeks back when I was sort of near the end of researching this video. And I had people on Reddit pick up on that. And shout out to the St. Louis drill subreddit. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Look, low-key, I can't do these videos without the subreddits. People act like, oh, you just steal a bunch of shit from subreddits. No, I use the subreddits to lead me down the right paths. I use the music, like I immerse myself in the music of St. Louis. Like I absolutely just fell in love with a bunch of these rappers, man. Big Bucks Trey, Big Bucks Von, like KB6, CTS LeWick. Like I just went, and so many of these rappers actually really captivated me. But I saw one comment on Reddit saying there's no way Trap Lil Ross can make a documentary about St. Louis. He can't do it. It's too complicated. He can't do it. There's too many gangs. It's too complicated. And I'll keep it real. This was one of the most difficult and most complicated videos. And then we had a real disaster behind the scenes where some research went missing, and we had put so many hours into this, lost some of our research, had to get it back. It was tough. But I did do it. But I knew this would be a challenge. But things like that, I want to challenge myself. That's why I did weekly videos for two months. Because I want to challenge myself. Like, bro, I've done a 6-hour Young Boy video. I've done a 6-hour 600 video. I can do 6-hour videos with my eyes, maybe not my eyes closed. It was actually very difficult. But like, I like to challenge myself. I don't think there's anything to gain by doing no 10-hour video. All right. And if the video is more than 6 hours, you can't fix any copyright claims. So it's all long. But this was a challenge for me. And I feel like I rose to the challenge. I know that a lot of people on Reddit said, oh, you missed this person, you missed that person. How could you not talk about AMRD Huncho in more detail or whatever? And it's like, bro, I went down the rabbit holes that I was most interested in. I looked into the artists that I was most interested in, most captivated by. I did my best job, all right? You got 3 hours and 17 minutes. I think it's pretty good. I think we did okay.
Now, while St. Louis has been a fairly underrated city for hip-hop, they have produced some stars over the years. Mainstream rappers like Chingy, Nelly, and most recently Sexy Red have put STL on the map musically, but even for the most polished artists to break into the industry, behind them are secret gang ties that many people couldn't have imagined. Chingy's uncle reportedly was responsible for bringing the 6'2" Brim Bloods to St. Louis in the 80s, giving him family ties to the deadly street gang. Sexy Red doesn't just wear red for fashion either. She hails from a hood in St. Louis associated with the 45 Retta Bloods, and even STL's most famous mainstream rapper Nelly, known for his romantic anthem Dilemma and smash hit Ride With Me, actually has long-running secret affiliations to the Rollin' 30s and 60 Crips in St. Louis.
Now, I couldn't even believe it, people. I start looking into it. I'm like, yo, look, are we really I basically said, like, look, we ain't really going to be talking about Sexy Red. I don't want Sexy Red in the thumbnail. I've done a video on my second channel about Sexy Red's blood ties. Is what it is. We know she's Sexy Red. We know the story just off the back of her name. But I didn't actually know when I started looking into this. I'm like, God, Nelly's a Crip. Nelly with the plaster on his face, busting, you know what I'm saying, busting the moves all the way back from country grammar days, man. Man, hot in here, man. Dilemma, the guy. All right. He a Crip. He Crippin'. I didn't know that. Okay, so as I'm just getting deeper and deeper into this video, I didn't want to do no whole chapter on Nelly's gang. Look, right now, that's not really what we're trying to hear. We're trying to hear about the modern day, the young guys that are really getting it and rapping about it now. But again, I just wanted to put that in the intro and just let people know, like, yo, this is so interesting, bro. These St. Louis gang ties have been rooted in the rap industry for decades, and you didn't even know, people. You didn't even know how deep it got.
However, if Nelly was a rapper coming out of the gang-controlled hoods of St. Louis in this day and age, he might well have been murdered before he had a chance to make a hit song. Starting in Chicago, over the last few years, the drill music culture has taken hold of St. Louis too. Nowadays, every gang has a couple of rappers frontlining the beef publicly, making music all about life on their block, the enemies they've killed or plan to kill, and the high-speed chases with the cops trying to stop them catching another body. The streets have become a battle royale where the rappers roll around their neighborhoods, broadcasting their activities and inviting their ops to come and shoot it out with them, with numerous instances of rappers actually arranging shootouts and broadcasting the entire thing live on Instagram for the whole world to see. For some reason,
some of the clips that I have in this video, I'm not sure even if all of them even made it into the YouTube edit. I've never seen a video. There's a video in here somewhere, and it's definitely uncut on a Patreon. We probably had to cut out the gunshots where there's a guy walking down the street with his gun saying, if that Dodge Challenger drives past me again, I'm hitting the button. I'm switching them. I'm hitting the switch. I'm about to switch this car. I'm about to switch cheese that car. If you in that car, I'm gonna hit you with the switch. And I swear to God, bro, within like 8 seconds, the switches are flying. He's on IG Live during this happening, and he's running. You're hearing switch gunfire. You're not hearing regular gunfire. You're hearing brah, brah, brah. It's crazy. And I tell you what, this video taught me a whole bunch about firearms that I didn't know. I didn't even know about binary triggers until this, all right? If you don't know about binary, I'm going to put you on right now, okay? Because there's a couple rappers, I think Big Bucks Von and Big Bucks Trey, they call themselves sometimes the Binary Boys. And I'm not going to lie, Binary Boys almost sounds kind of zesty. If you, I've just Googled it, and the first thing that comes up is gender binary, all right? That's not what they're talking about, okay? That's not what they're talking about. They put me on, man. Binary triggers, okay? Let me get the definition. A binary trigger, right? I didn't know anything about this. A binary trigger is a firearm component that allows semi-automatic weapons to fire one round when the trigger is pulled, bang, and another round when the trigger's released, bang. So you pulling up with the stick on the ops, right? You pulling up on the ops. So forget the switch. These guys have got all different loadouts that I had never even heard of. Or I had never heard of a binary trigger. All right. Literally, you're gonna go bam, bam. Every time you pull the trigger, it's shooting. You still got your finger on that trigger. And then you letting it go and another one's going off. So you getting busy, you aiming at your ops, you getting your aim right, and you're going ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. Each trigger pull is 2 bullets. Like, these guys have got attachments, upgrades, loadouts I ain't never even heard of, bro. It's crazy.
And despite the popularity of drill music, St. Louis has so far stayed in the shadows compared to the larger, more popular drill cities of the times, like Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia.
Not for long.
But today, that changes forever, because me and my team have spent the last month doing more research than anyone has ever done on the streets of St. Louis, and in this video, I'll be revealing to the world for the first time the true hidden stories of the streets of St. Louis. We've spent hundreds of hours poring over some of the darkest corners of the internet to bring you the craziest street stories to ever come out of this city. And this video will cover every single hidden horror to come out of the St. Louis drill scene. From
these guys are making look, you got to deep some of these details. Sometimes I'll be pointing out details in videos, and I don't think people even comprehend how crazy what they're looking at is. They done created a t-shirt, right? We done seen KTS, what was it, KTS Von. He had the famous t-shirt with all the names of the dead ops. Let me show you. So this was the infamous KTS Von shirt, right? F your dead homie. These are all their dead ops. This ain't RIP my homies. This is the list of ops that they allegedly killed, all right? And if you want to know more about this, go and watch my video, No Limit, Chicago's Deadliest Gang, all right? F your dead homie, all the names of the dead ops, and then written in blood font, get whacked. I thought this was one of the craziest things I ever seen until I see this. This is, and it's blurred out, but that was a photo of a dead body of the rapper Elo B, right? And he got killed in a crazy shootout where the ops bucked into him, KB6. They all met up for a shoot. They all bumped into each other for a shootout, and pretty much nobody survived. Like, I think one guy managed to crawl away. He weren't really involved like that. But all the main ops, the famous rappers on both sides, they all died, right? They shot it all out, and no one survived. And then these guys, I had never seen anything this is disgusting, to be honest with you. It's actually out of line. They got a picture of his dead body on a t-shirt, all right? So they ain't even putting the names of the dead ops, all right? They got a picture of his dead body on a t-shirt, and this is an all-over print t-shirt. You have to pay extra for that print. You know what I mean? This ain't even in a bordered t-shirt. This is an all-over print of the dead body on the shirt saying, "Get up, Elo." Outrageously disrespectful, bro. I'd never seen anything this disrespectful in a video, bro. These guys absolutely just jump out the window with it, and they ain't getting anywhere near as much shine as these Chicago guys.
There's songs that caused instant murders in retaliation, drill rappers turning hood vlogs into open invitations for their ops to come and slide on them.
This one was crazy as well, man. This was Lockhead Gang, okay?
Retaliation, drill rappers
they doing a hood vlog, they all sticked up, and they get on FaceTime with their ops, and they said, "I'm at this road sign, Kenwood Drive, we are here now." And then the op says, "Bet," hangs up the phone call, and they finish the hood vlog on the block. They all just clutching on the block. They take cover behind this car at one point. You got to go and see that vlog. It's absolutely crazy. They literally FaceTimed it up. They said, "We're here doing the hood vlog right now, man. We're here. We're gonna be here for a minute." They keep talking. The vlog is long as hell. They just chilling on the block. Every time a car goes by, they low-key take cover, ready to fire, and then they get back to talking. It's crazy.
Hood vlogs into open invitations for their ops to come and slide on them, and loose cannon members shooting up random people with switches on their guns on IG Live.
This the car. This the one I was talking about. He said, "Whoever in that gray Challenger, I see it again, I'm pressing the button."
My daddy, I'm hitting the button. You better move around as fast as possible, Brody.
But before we get into
I couldn't even play the full audio because I didn't even want to play the audio of the switch going off in the YouTube video, because I had a bunch of videos. I had a big problem with a couple of videos over the last couple of months, all right? You might notice there's 3 videos that I dropped, 3 entire videos. One of them's an hour and a half. Man, I ain't even gonna say too much, but shout out to the Patreon members, bro. You know what's up.
All of the modern day gang wars going on in the St. Louis drill scene. First, let's take a closer look at how St. Louis became one of the most violent cities in American history.
Man, I wanna rewatch this, man. And you know what I mean? We have to hit that content warning. Just hit that after the intro just to let them know, bro. Be careful when you're watching this content. But look, this video is absolutely crazy. I definitely recommend you go check it out, man. And I just want to get to some of the comments and just see what a couple of the fans were saying, because you know, this video is getting a lot of love and I'm very grateful for it, man. This guy, Life as Leisure, said, "You mean to tell me if YouTube existed in the 1930s, we would have been watching Mob Law Ross?" That's facts, man. Look, I traced the whole history of St. Louis gangs all the way back, man. I actually want to do a Mafia video, but I just know I'm finna spend 2-3 months breaking down all of the 5 families gang wars, and people ain't gonna rock with it. You know what I mean? I know you guys love the Chicago stuff, but you like the modern day era. But I want to do it, man. Shout out Jim Barella. I did an interview with a real life mobster. You know what I'm saying? A couple bodies, what I'm hearing. But that's just on the shelf right now, man. I think it's on my Patreon if you want to see me interview a real life mobster from the New York crime families, man. Listen. But anyway, if it was the 1930s, man, you know I would have been doing that, man. I'd have been ducking all the old school mobsters, man. Dude, 50 murders in a city the span of 1 month is actually crazy as hell to think about it. There's so many murders in St. Louis. I can't believe it myself. St. Louis is just different, bro. Who calls a switch a turkey butt? So in this video, there's a guy called Turkey Butt who does commit a murder with a switch. And it sounds ridiculous. When I see this guy's name's Turkey Butt, I'm like, that's so dumb. Come to find out, a turkey butt is actually referring to the switch. When they put the switch on the back of a Glock, they refer into a turkey's, I guess, a turkey's tail. I'm gonna cautiously Google turkey butt, all right? And just see. I don't want to get done for no beastophilia. Okay. This is a turkey butt, man. That is like one of the most funny and creative ways I've ever heard of anyone referring to a switch. All right, they saying that the turkey, that is the switch on the back of the Glock. This the Glock. This guy here's the Glock. And that's the switch. That's the button, man. Hey, listen, St. Louis is a whole different culture, man. So shout out to people that were showing love to the accuracy, because I was not joking. We spent hundreds of hours. I listened to so much St. Louis music. Every time I was in the car, every time I was in the gym, it was St. Louis drill. All right. I'm from STL, and the level of detail and accuracy is crazy. I appreciate that, my guy. I really appreciated this comment too, because it was very important for me to go back into the old school history, some of the racial politics in the area, the divide between the parts of the cities that actually were rich and poor, and how, you know, essentially the government pushed certain communities into certain areas and really tried to segregate the city. And this is the unfortunate case that we see in a lot of these stories. You know, there's a lot of this stuff that is the result of institutional racism. And for as much as I get hate for talking on gang culture, I'm one of the only people that really digs into the history and talks about these things, you know, redlining, white flight, restrictive covenants. You know, the authorities actually making it very hard for black people in these marginalized communities to own property and lift themselves out of poverty. You know, we talked in the Tay Savage video about Bronzeville and the black metropolis, where there was an era of just great prosperity for the black community, where black owned businesses were thriving. And the government said, hold up a sec. Government hit the Meek Mill. They said, hold up, wait a minute. All right. And they started pushing people out. They wouldn't let people, you know, develop their properties and their businesses in certain areas. And they really pushed poverty down people's throats. So I think that's really important. I really appreciate when people give me my flowers for that, man. Genjiro said, as a St. Louis native, you hit everything on the head, from the Del Mar divide to gang culture, even the evil history that lead us to today. Watching your video from an outsider's perspective is very informative, but living in the very pit that your videos address and you hit them with such accuracy is a testament to just how much research you pour into your videos. Much respect. I appreciate that, man. And look, I do get a lot of hate out here, but the real ones that actually pay attention and lock in and actually take in the videos, pause, they know that my intentions are pure. They know that I'm trying to get to the truth. I'm not just trying to do a scoreboard video. Yeah, this guy got shot. That guy got shot. Yeah, he slid. Like, I think it's very sad. Okay. And I want to understand the actual reasons. Like, how did it get so desperate in some of these communities? So I appreciate that. This guy's on the same thing. He said, I know for sure that the CIA is happy as hell seeing their plan go down perfectly without a hitch. Now, look, whether you want to say it's the CIA, institutional racism, you know what I mean, the powers that be at the very top of the pyramid, making it very hard for certain communities, but you know what I'm saying? We know the truth. I feel like St. Louis has deserved its own video for a while. Anyway, great to another doc from Ross. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, man. Ice Cube's My Summer Vacation was ahead of its time. Last video before bed. We need more comments like this. Is what I'm trying to see. Watching from STL, I'm actually working on a documentary about how polluted and poor the city is. We need support here. America continues to sweep us under the rug, especially after the storm. Our local politicians are extremely corrupt. Half the inner city is homeless. I've lived in the area my whole life, and Trap Law explained the unorganized gang politics much better than anyone else. I love this comment because I did do this on purpose. Hearing a British guy use modern drill slang to describe mafia hits in the 30s is a strange experience. In this video, I talk about the actual gangs that were running things back in the 30s. I think I touched on the Prohibition era, and I basically said, I explain it in the same way you'd explain it now. They tried to slide, man. They had to get their get back. I'm trying to help you understand in the modern era that it was really cracking back in the 30s like that. Okay. People saying there's so many people in this video, I got lost about halfway through. There are a lot of people in the video. It is very complicated. It was very hard to put together. It is hard to follow at times. I tried for this video. Sometimes I'll just stick with a straight timeline, especially if I'm focusing on one or two gangs. But like with this video, there's so many gangs. I tried to make it so that every chapter of the video is just like an area or a person's story. And then they kind of lead in and latch on to the next part of the story. It was a very hard video to put together. This guy said 32 years in St. Louis, never thought I'd watch a 3-hour YouTube video. My guy, man, give me that watch time, baby. 10 out of 10, my dude. You're beyond accurate, damn near flawless. You covered literally every section of the city, each section's modern day mob boss rappers. Your work here is unscathed. I appreciate that. 930C, man. My guy. People are saying these poor kids are so lost. It's actually sad. No guidance. And that's a big part of the problem, man. You know, there's not organization. There's not OGs. There's not structure. I mean, when I talk about Chicago gang wars back in the 60s and how the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples formed and how they were unified, you know, some of these gangs were community movements. People talk about the Crips. People have talked about Crip actually standing for Community Revolution in Progress. Like a lot of these gangs, they started out as community movements. A lot of them branched off of and evolved out of the Black Panthers, where the government actually shut down this organization that was fighting for the rights of black people. And basically, you know, these gangs formed, and then unfortunately, you know, we saw in the situation of Jeff Fort, like the government kind of get involved and kind of suppress these groups. And yeah, there is criminal activity going on in some of these groups. Unfortunately, you know, they shut down the Black Panthers because they were scared. They were scared of the motion that these groups were having, lifting up and empowering the black community. And unfortunately, they replaced that with gang warfare. And then when the crack epidemic hit the streets, a lot of these desperate communities, you know what I mean, they unfortunately fell onto the wrong side of the tracks. They unfortunately started chasing money to the degree where they were polluting their own community. And you know, they were given the conditions by the government to destroy their own community. They were given the tools. Crack cocaine was placed in these communities and contributed to the very destruction of what was once a movement to empower a group of people who were very downtrodden. So it's very unfair, man. I got to just shout out everybody who is in the comments, just appreciating my work, giving me my flowers. I come with the best intentions, okay? I'm not trying to put anyone down. I'm not trying to portray a community in a negative light. I'm just trying to get to the actual bottom of these situations, why things are the way they are and why things have gotten so bad. So listen, I just want to let everybody know that this video is one that I'm so proud of. Not only that, but I'm very grateful that so many people have tapped in and watched it. 500,000 views in less than 2 weeks on content that maybe isn't necessarily on everybody's radar. This isn't a trending topic. We ain't chasing clout over here, okay? This is a meaningful story. It meant a lot to me, and I'm just really glad everybody's rocking with it. So if you haven't seen it, go and check out the video on the St. Louis drill scene. Let me know what you thought in those comments, and make sure you tap in with the next video, because who knows, man, if you leave a very insightful and positive comment, you might make it onto the channel. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for rocking with me, and trust me, you're not ready for the next videos that I'm dropping on the main channel. You are actually not ready, bruh. This next video is crazy. This next video is crazy. So tap in. Appreciate you guys, and I'm out. Peace.